That right there is what gets me of all the things. I had no idea this was the thing. I didn't know this till about a day ago, which is why this is the exact reason I decided to make this video here that you're currently watching. Hey guys, what's going on? As you know, I am a video editor. I make things on YouTube. They are entertaining. People like them. However, I have used two in my lifetime. The first being DaVinci Resolve, which is what I'm currently using to edit this video. And then second being Filmora. I downloaded it way back in the day when it was still Filmora 8, and I bought a lifetime subscription. And after I upgraded to 9. I was like, oh, hey, this is a bonus. Maybe it'll, just do it indefinitely or infinitely. Deep down, I did fear, though, that it would eventually turn into a paying for every update type of ordeal, just because, paying for a lifetime membership, that's a steal, especially in comparison with other competitors these days, such as Adobe Premiere, After Effects, and all that fun stuff. And this is not, I just want to preface, this is not a video attacking or antagonizing Filmora. They have served me incredibly well over the past, I want to say, few years that I've used Wondershare Filmora, and I appreciate my time with them. And I know it's only $35 to upgrade to the next one, but as is going to be expressed in this video, one of my biggest fears is, am I going to have to pay for every update? And if so, what turns from, like, say it goes from Filmora 12, which is what it currently is, to Filmora 13. I understand I'll probably have to pay for that update, but what if there's just a minor tweakage change from Filmora version 12 to Filmora, say, version 12.2, and you have to pay for each and every individual update? That's where the fear is, and that's where my concern is personally. And again, it's not that I couldn't afford the $35 to upgrade to the next thing. It's the fact that I would have to do that every single solitary time, and the whole purpose of me buying a lifetime membership is so I could use it for a lifetime, hence the name lifetime membership. But I just want to probably make this video not too long. I'm going on for a minute at the very beginning, but I just want to preface this. Please don't attack Filmora. They are a great video editor if you're looking for something that costs money. I would personally recommend DaVinci Resolve, though. And anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the person who helped me get hooked on Filmora, Daniel Batal. I'm probably pronouncing that right, but Daniel, I thank you for introducing me into the wonderful world that is Filmora.
I just downloaded the new Filmora 12, and the lifetime license that I've always had doesn't work anymore. I hate having to make a video like this. You know, when I started using Filmora about 5 years ago, I was definitely one of their biggest fans. So much so that I have 3 lifetime licenses. These lifetime licenses meant that I had to pay more money up front, but that meant I would have access to all the future software updates down the road. Back then, they only had a few licensing options to get access to the software. They had the free version, which was really more like a free trial version. You could use all the features, but it had a watermark on export, and you had to buy some sort of license or plan in order to remove that watermark. There was also a 1-year subscription-based plan. That one also got rid of the watermark, but it was a recurring fee that was cheaper, but you had to pay that year after year in order to maintain access to the software. They also had another option that they like to tout as their best seller. That was their lifetime license. It wasn't a subscription-based plan like their other options. It was literally an actual license. This was a one-time fee, and as it was labeled, lasted a lifetime. This was the option I purchased.
And the other thing, too, was I do believe, and someone can correct me on this if that is the case, I do believe when you did purchase the lifetime version of Filmora, they did develop a pro version that did not have a lifetime thing, that had all these special pre-made effects and all that whatnot. But with even the base Filmora, you still had quite a lot to work with. It was a great and fantastic software to just throw a video together quickly and just give something to your editors. I loved it. It was fantastic.
I also purchased another lifetime license so that I could run the software on my Mac operating system. Now, if you had purchased a lifetime license to Filmora back when I did, it was pretty clear to anyone looking at the options that Filmora was offering free updates. And if you had any question what free updates meant, they spelled it out right at the bottom of the webpage. All software updates are completely free. Period. And that was a great deal. That license allowed me and a lot of other people I recommended it to update the software every time Filmora went from Filmora 8 to Filmora 9, to Filmora 10, to Filmora 11, until we got to Filmora 12. Now, to be fair to Filmora, I've said all along to every user that I've ever talked to, that the more they asked for new features and tried to get Filmora to do more, that eventually Filmora was going to stop offering this lifetime license. And when Filmora 10 was introduced in November of 2020, that's exactly what happened. They removed the lifetime license and they changed that out and introduced what they called a perpetual plan. No more licenses, just plans. Now, the perpetual plan allowed you to get updates, but only for that specific version.
Which I understand. You're a business, you're trying to make money, that is perfectly okay. That just absolutely fantastic. I understand if you take away that option. That is perfectly okay from a business perspective. That is totally understandable. You can't always afford to give the old plans you used to give. But still honor the lifetime memberships that you have already licensed. This is something you should have taken into account when you first brought it in the first place.
So if you'd purchased a perpetual plan for Filmora 10, you would get all of the updates until they moved into a newer version, such as Filmora 11. And they made that really clear right from the outset. Next to these plans, they actually had a tiny information bubble that at the time I thought was completely innocuous, but over time turned out to be a lot more ominous than expected. It said, this plan does not include upgrades to future versions of the software beyond Filmora 10, but it does include updates to Filmora 10. Did you catch that? A subtle changing of the words there. They started using a word that they hadn't used before. Suddenly, new versions of the software weren't called updates, some were called upgrades. What if Filmora somewhere down the line made a decision that upset a lot of the users? If people were upset with Filmora for some reason, that would probably mean that me and my channel would end up paying the price right along with them. That's what we call foreshadowing, folks. So you can imagine my surprise when I opened up Filmora the other day to work on a project, and I was met with something very unexpected. When I opened up the software...
Now, before we get into this section, I do want to emphasize, I did this exact same thing. I had a whole video, and I'm pretty sure it was actually the Choo Choo Charles video that's now up on my channel. I edited the whole thing. I was like, you know what? I'll upgrade later. It's 35 bucks. It's whatever. You'll see why, one of the reasons I got so irritated in just a moment.
Software, a pop-up window appeared that said my one-time purchase plan of Filmora no longer applied to Filmora 12, because Filmora 12 is a major version that requires a paid upgrade. I was confused, partly because they were asking me to pay again for access to the software when they should know that I have a lifetime license, but also the fact that they were referring to my lifetime license as a one-time purchase plan. That wasn't even the name of any plan I've ever heard of. Lifetime, perpetual, but one-time purchase plan was a whole new language I'd never seen before. I had to double check to make sure I was actually signed into Filmora, because sometimes what happens is when you update the software and you're not signed in, it doesn't recognize your license or who you are, so it will go right to a prompt of trying to get you to purchase a plan until you've signed in. Hey Filmora, when you tell users years ago that purchasing a lifetime license means all software updates are completely free, you should probably mean that. Lots of angry lifetime license holders like me realizing you just threw all of us under the bus with the latest update. Lots of other confused and angry Filmora users jumped right into that conversation on Twitter, but you know who didn't? Filmora.
Did the same thing. None of us were happy. All of us were up in arms. We were all livid as soon as that update came out. It was a headache. It was terrible.
But here's where the story gets even crazier. The very next day, I get an email out of the blue from Filmora. They had been listening all along, they just didn't want to respond in public. Yes, great. They wanted to resolve this issue. We're also seeking a new partnership. Wait, what? They came right out of the gate offering me money? Now? For what? Why now? Why do we require paid upgrade for perpetual plan on Filmora 12? First, the upgrade is not obligatory. Filmora 9 users can still keep the old version.
Filmora 9, mind you, not the Filmora 11, which we've all been working on, we've all been, situated on, and it wasn't until the most recent update that we weren't able to do that.
Actually provided about 10 updates for this version, and these updates were free as promised. Wait, Filmora 9 users? Why are you talking about Filmora 9? That was years ago. Don't you mean Filmora 11? That's the version most people are updating from. And why are you talking about a perpetual plan? Me and the rest of the people who are probably upset right now don't have perpetual plans. We have lifetime licenses. Secondly, the cost of software development is always increasing. To provide competitive pricing, we have turned to subscription plans since 2020, while still keeping the perpetual plan, considering some users' demand. Many software developers do not provide perpetual licenses now. Yes, I'm well aware of that. And I've talked about on my channel how you probably would change pricing along the way as the software developed. But we're not talking about people who had perpetual plans from 2020. We're talking about people who had lifetime licenses from long before. The email continues. Thirdly, we provide a big discount for any non-subscription plan holder who might want to upgrade. It only costs $29.99 to upgrade, with 1 month free access to effects plugins worth $20.99. Now he's referring to people like me as non-subscription plan holders. So he does understand that we have lifetime licenses. Daniel, we had a very pleasant partnership before from Filmora 9 to Filmora 10, including several product review videos and an undisclosed amount that we agreed upon. Your promotion efforts brought us valuable users, and we also witnessed the growth of your YouTube channel. Filmora witnessed the growth of my channel, but certainly didn't cause it. My channel grew because I made learning about editing videos fun and easy. I could have done that with any video editing software, and I did, including products like Movavi, who were the very first video editing software sponsors on my channel. I am wondering if we can start a new partnership on Filmora 12. Again with the money. Why do they keep bringing up money in a new partnership? We haven't talked in years. Are they trying to buy my silence? Because typically if you sign a deal with one of these sponsors, it comes with wording in the contract that won't allow an ambassador to say anything negative about the sponsors they work with. We are open for discussion if you have any further thoughts. I have a few thoughts. 1, you can't buy my silence. And 2, you seem to keep tap dancing around the problem that me and a lot of other lifetime license holders are dealing with. My full response was pretty short and right to the point. That's not my issue. I have 3 lifetime licenses. Lifetime, not perpetual. These are 2 completely different licenses. While I logged in and while Filmora recognizes I have a lifetime license, it's telling me and the thousands of other people who have purchased your products because of me that we all need to update as our licenses do not cover the new version. This was their final response. Hey Daniel, thank you for your reply. Our team wants to clarify the license issue you mentioned further. First, we would like to note the difference between a software update and upgrade. Oh boy, here we go. Update, upgrade. Didn't I tell you those words were going to come back to haunt us? Please see a part of an in-depth explanation about the difference that was included in the Terms and Conditions page for Filmora 9. Filmora 9. Quote, the licensor may, at its sole discretion, decide if licensee can get software updates and or content updates free of charge, or the licensee has to pay for the updates. The license does not permit the licensee to obtain and use the software upgrade and or new licensed software version. This means our customers, including yourself, can continue editing in the current version. However, the lifetime license doesn't include software upgrades to future versions, such as from Filmora 9 to Filmora 12. And there you have it, the acknowledgement I had been waiting for all along. Filmora finally uses the words lifetime license. They are absolutely aware of what license I hold, but they keep going on to, quote, terms and conditions from Filmora 9. Terms and conditions, I might add, that didn't even exist when I bought my lifetime license years earlier. Considering you are familiar with Filmora, that's an understatement. We would love to invite you to test the latest version of Filmora with other professional users. Your feedback is very valuable to us as we continue helping creators grow their YouTube and digital presence by making significant improvements and adding advanced new features in Filmora 12. We sincerely look forward to hearing from you. Warm regards, the Wondershare team. Well, Wondershare team, you're hearing from me now. You've clearly drawn your line in the sand, and I have to tell you, this latest decision is a really bad look.
And I just want to, again, if you guys would like to go check out this video, I'm going to have links for both of them in the description. This is going to be a supercut version, just because, like I said, you can watch the whole video yourself, get your whole synopsis, get your opinion, don't take mine, just make sure you get your own. And again, not to demonize Filmora, this is just something that I want to hold the company accountable for, so that future people who go to buy it know that they might pull some stuff or try and change policies through updates and whatnot without even the consumer knowing. Now, this is a follow-up to his previous video that he uploaded about a week ago. This just came out, I think, yesterday as of this recording. And this is his response to, basically his response to response. Filmora's response to his synopsis of the software and the way fans are reacting, and any questions that he had in the previous video. So
I really thought my last video talking about how Filmora had canceled all the lifetime licenses for its most loyal user base would be my last. I was actually kind of hoping it would be based on how I felt about the company in that moment. But with the amount of questions that came in the comments section of that video, most of which were all really positive, so shout out to the community. There were actually a lot of really valid questions that were asked that I think deserve honest answers. Currently, there are almost 4,000 questions on that video, and it's tough for these old hands to keep up typing all those responses, so I thought this might be a little more effective. Now, there were some very surprising discoveries made through these conversations along the way that might actually shock some lifetime license holders, so put on your helmets. Let me start here. One of the most common comments that I got was that I didn't understand the difference between updates and upgrades when it came to software. And I get why a lot of people might think that, because Filmora went out of their way to keep posting the end user agreement from Filmora 9 as their only point of reference. But the earlier end user license agreement that many of us saw long before the one that Filmora keeps quoting actually read this way. For the purposes hereof, update means a new version of the licensed software containing technical modifications, updated information, altered functionality, or any other changes that are intended by the licensor to improve or to add, delete, or otherwise modify any aspect of the licensed software. Now, since then, Filmora has made sure that they have changed and added another line into that end user license agreement, and it now reads as follows. The licensor may, at its sole discretion, decide if licensee can get software updates and or content updates free of charge, or the licensee has to pay for the updates. And that's been the hook that they hung their hat on when they emailed me. But hang on. The point that Filmora has been trying to make is that Filmora 12 isn't an update, it's an upgrade. And that updates refers to the changes that we would see within a specific version. And that ends up making this new language even scarier than we thought. Let's look at that new end user license agreement again. Updates, not upgrades. Can you imagine having to pay for every single update? I lost count, but I think Filmora 11 had 10 or 20 updates just in the 10-month period from when it was launched till December of this year? Imagine them sticking to this new license agreement and charging users for every single one of them. But no matter how you read these ever-changing EULAs, clearly Filmora has gone out of their way to mean something very different now than they meant when a lot of us early supporters bought our licenses back in the day. Now, some people were confused between the differences of a perpetual plan and a lifetime license. And I think that that's somewhat intentional, because Filmora has tried to blur the lines of the language when they actually talk about each of these plans and or licenses. It's almost like they're trying to keep the users guessing. Even recently on Twitter, when they were trying to respond to all of you, they referred to a perpetual plan as a perpetual license. Now, another thing I've heard a lot of people talk about in the comments section is a class action lawsuit. I wouldn't even know where to begin to address a question like that. But it did bring up another question that I thought was really valid from a lot of people who commented on my other video. They asked, for the amount of years that you've had this license, are you really upset about this change? And my answer is yes and no. Look, I was very satisfied with the product I got for my money during the years that my lifetime license was honored. But it was never about the money for me. The price of the Filmora 12 upgrade certainly wasn't going to break the bank for me. It was more about the tens of thousands of people who had saved up their money to make a one-time, lifetime license purchase and were promised one thing but delivered another. The very first of those two questions asks, why do I need to pay for Filmora 12? The second FAQ goes on to ask, under what circumstances can I upgrade to Filmora 12 for free? Currently, there are only two options on that webpage that would allow that to happen. One, you are a Filmora subscription user, or two, you purchased the Filmora 11 perpetual plan within 90 days before Filmora 12's official launch, purchased from September 2022 to December 11th, 2022. But hang on. Let's look at what happens if you read the archived version of that very same page from only a few weeks ago. There's a very significant difference that Filmora has gone out of their way to erase since all of this you-know-what hit the fan. There were actually other scenarios that would allow users to upgrade to Filmora 12 for free, and the very first one is shockingly clear. You would be allowed to upgrade to Filmora 12 if you are a lifetime user of Filmora 9 or the earlier version.
That right there is what gets me of all the things. I had no idea this was the thing. I didn't know this till about a day ago, which is why this is the exact reason I decided to make this video here that you're currently watching. You are a lifetime user of Filmora 9 or an earlier version, 8, like me and my buddy were.
You are a lifetime user of Filmora 9 or the earlier version. Now, when users discovered this and rushed to point it out to Filmora on Twitter, Filmora quickly dismissed them, saying this was just another misunderstanding between us. And they said that those options were just some sort of limited time benefit for Filmora users during the Filmora 12 beta test. I'm looking at all of these frequently asked questions from then and now, and I'm not seeing anything in here that would allow a user to understand that somehow this might be a beta testing related offer, or that somehow this would be different down the line. Here's another thing that's really confusing. Some lifetime license holders who either purchased before Filmora 9 or after and hadn't signed up for any sort of Filmora 12 beta testing still have access to the new Filmora 12 update completely free of charge. Up to this point, Filmora refuses to give any of us answers as to why this might be happening as well. They just seem to keep pointing fingers back to the current EULA and telling users that this is all just one big misunderstanding. The one thing that I can tell lifetime license holders who were allowed to upgrade to the new Filmora 12 is that I can't see anything in any of these agreements that would allow you to keep upgrading moving forward, so who knows. I really hope that this has helped answer some of the questions that all of you have asked in the comments section, and no matter what you decide to do, whether you stick with Filmora moving forward or decide to move on to a different video editing software, I wish you all nothing but the best of luck with your next video edit. And I want to remind you that this video was edited with the completely free version of DaVinci Resolve.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. DaVinci Resolve is the other editor that I used way back before I even discovered Filmora. I think back then it was DaVinci Resolve 15, I want to say. I don't know. It's been years since then, because like I said, I've used Filmora for the majority of my time here on YouTube. Yes, like I said, there were a handful of videos, like I think the one Winter Express, that was made with DaVinci Resolve. But yeah, no, that is currently the synopsis, and again, this is going to be a supercut version, so if you want the full story, make sure you go check down those videos in the description. Make your own conclusions, and just bear in mind the kind of habits that a company can do before you purchase a product from them, because if they've done it once, what's to stop them from doing it again if they were never held accountable? So anyways, I know this is a bit of a heavier video, but this is something that I felt very strongly about, having been a user of Filmora for the past few years. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you stopping by. Remember, stay unstoppable, stay unbeatable, but most importantly, stay unpredictable. I'll see y'all later.